All right. Hello. Welcome, everybody. So great to see you. So great to be here with Adam. My name is Luis Gutierrez Mock. I'll be your moderator of sorts, although I don't think this group is going to need much moderation. So I'll introduce myself first. I am one of the community advisory board members for the Hope Martin Delaney Collaboratory. It's HIV Obstruction by Programmed Epigenetics. I'm a social scientist, so I can't actually explain much of the science for our project, but it's very exciting to be here with Adam Castillo. And I am also a behavioral health scientist with the UCSF Pandemic Initiative for Equity and Action. I worked within transgender HIV prevention and trans health for a little over 20 years before jumping over to COVID work. So I've been doing COVID research for the past 2.5 years or so. And I'll go ahead and start our introductions with Dr. Lish Nodlovu. As a translational immunologist, Lish's research program is dedicated to confronting the challenges of HIV and aging using immunoepigenetic approaches to resolve molecular mechanisms of HIV age-related complications and viral persistence. He's a member of the International Neuro-HIV Cure Consortium, a global alliance with a mission providing cutting-edge investigation and expertise in central nervous system aspects of HIV infection. His research results have been reported in over 100 peer-reviewed journals, okay? And his research is supported by research grants and contracts from the NIH and DoD. Up next, as seen on TV, Dr. Monica Gandhi is a professor of medicine and associate division chief of the Division of HIV, Infectious Diseases, and Global Medicine at UCSF and SF General Hospital. Dr. Gandhi serves as the director of the UCSF Center for AIDS Research and the medical director of the HIV clinic at SFGH, or Ward 86. Dr. Gandhi completed her MD at Harvard Medical School, another okay, and then came to UCSF in '96 for residency training in internal medicine. After her residency, she completed a fellowship in infectious diseases and postdoc fellowship at the Center for AIDS Prevention Studies, both at UCSF. She also obtained a master's in public health from Berkeley in 2001 with a focus on epidemiology and biostatistics. And finally, next to me, Dr. Kim Kester is an associate professor in the Department of Medicine at UCSF. She's also a member of the Center for AIDS Prevention Studies in the Division of Prevention Science. As an anthropologist, she specializes in qualitative research, and she's a fantastic person to do a qual consult with. CAPS has wonderful qual consults, and collaborates on, and she leads team-based science studies. Sorry, I shouldn't have gone off script. She leads team-based science studies focused on HIV prevention, care, and treatment. She's particularly interested in sexual health promotion, patient-provider communication, and has done extensive research on the social and sexual consequences of biomedical HIV prevention technologies. She teaches in the UCSF Implementation Science Certificate Program and is the Division of Prevention Science Education Lead. Finally, my great pleasure to provide a warm welcome to Adam, otherwise known as the London patient, who is the second person to ever be cured of HIV. And we are so grateful to have you here with us and to talk with us. So let's all give Adam a big round of applause.
Thank you for having me, guys. Thank you for having me. So I feel really honored, and thank you for the opportunity to be here with you guys. After all this introduction, I need to go to college. After all this introduction, yeah. So yeah, I'm delighted to be here, and thank you for having me and to be here.
Great, thank you. So we're going to have our panelists here ask Adam some questions and just have a conversation with Adam. And who would like to get us started? We'll go. All right, Dr. Gandhi.
Well, thank you very much for the privilege of sitting next to you, because I think it's amazing what you went through, because I know you went through a lot to get here, and all the medical procedures to get here. My question was, there was just this documentary in Nova called The End of HIV. Can we get to End of AIDS in America? And I very flippantly, I think, said to someone living with HIV who I've been treating for a long time, wow, these treatments are so great. Like the treatments are so great. And so I really try to, if someone gets newly diagnosed with HIV, really try to say that in 6 months, that I hope you don't think about HIV every day, that I hope that you're thinking about if you need milk. And that I felt like that was my job to reassure them. And I come from an angle where I had a close family member die of cancer, and he couldn't be told of that day that, oh, you'll be on treatment and it'll be okay. And you pushed back on me on Saturday when we talked and said it's different than you did, and other people have as well. It isn't that taking a pill every day or being treated, it still doesn't take the HIV away.
No, it doesn't.
And cure is different. And it is different to be cured than to be taking chronic medications for HIV. So I wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah, I think first of all, when I start my journey with HIV, with the medications, and then my journey with cancer changed, evolved, my medication changed. So for me, when I had I had to stop one pill. And people tend to ask me, oh, wonderful, Alan, you stopped that HIV medication. But they don't realize I take 40 to 60 pills a day for being a transplantee. And they're taking away my cancer, the transplant treatment. They just neglect all that, and they just want to know why you take the HIV pill, because the HIV pill has stigma attached. The other pill doesn't have any stigma attached. And that's what people don't realize. That pill, even having the pill, have stigma. When I stopped taking the pill, because a lot of people contact me and message me and say, Adam, you stole the HIV medication. And I say, yes, but do you know how many pills I take? Oh, I saw like it was going to be rosy after your pill stopped. And then I have to remind it, I am a transplantee. I'm a cancer survivor. The reason why I have the cure of HIV through a transplant, a bone marrow transplant, or as you call it, a stem cell transplantation. And for me, that is the big thing. People tend to complete ignore and neglect my cancer journey. And when I have the medication, the retroviral medications, I have to go through several medications through cancer. So I have to experience all the side effects through HIV and cancer. So I have to have two journeys at the same time. And when people just ask me that simple question about, do you stop that pill, how it feels? I say, well, it just took one less of the multiple pills I take. So kind of like, I want people to know the meaning of that pill. And I think that's we need to work on that. It's still a lot of stigma and discrimination. We are living with a healthy life with HIV, but still we need to talk about it. That's what I want to bring to the table.
Thank you. I'll pass it over to Kim next and see what you have, and then we'll go back over to you, Lish.
So many questions.
Yeah.
And so following on what you just said, Adam, and again, I know I told you that it is just an exquisite honor to be here with you.
It's my honor to be here.
And I guess following on what Monica said in your response, I am wondering what kind of discrimination have you faced because you have been cured of HIV?
That was an eye-opener for me. When I thought, and I presume that being cured of HIV, I would be celebrated by the HIV community overall. And I faced backlash, discrimination. And they say, you're not part of the club anymore. So you're not related to me anymore. So jealousy and bitterness. And I felt like, guys, I'm cured of HIV, but I am always going to be part of the HIV community, no matter what, because that's who I am. And it's that sense of rejection I never expected. I'm expecting to be celebrated, to be supported. And some people are not because they're too concentrated in treatments. And I want to say to them, I want you to have options. I want you to have an option to be cured of HIV. And I want you to have treatments better. I want you to have better preventions. and to have a cure. You had choices. I want to have people choices. So for me, when somebody say to me, organizations and people, communities, they were rejecting me just for the fact I was cured, I was shocked. So pride, sadness, and I thought, why? And then I had to understand the journey. I had to see why they were like that. So yeah, it's a difficult journey. I was not expecting to be almost, I would say the strong word, hate by some of the communities, like, oh, you're not part of the club anymore. And they told me that verbally in my face. And that was a shock. But at the same time, I have wonderful people that are supporting me, that are embracing me, and they will help me in my journey, who are the ambassador of hope as a London patient. So it's a double coin. It's a bittersweet, but I concentrate myself in the positive, but I need to talk about the negativity I receive, which people don't see that happen, but it do happen. A lot of organizations around the world do not want to work with me because I am not part of their journey. And I just wonder what journey I on, because if you are an HIV organization, what is your journey? And they say, well, yeah, for treatments, prevention, and they, oh, so you want people to continue being HIV for the rest of their life. You don't want to achieve that goal. And they couldn't answer to me. And then I realized, so, well, I'm not part of their journey, but I will be part of other people's journey. And I wanted other people to be in my journey on this. So yeah, it's a learning curve for me. I want you to people to know here in Gladstone Institute that that's what happened. That's the reality. It was not all sweet as I was assuming it was going to be. So yeah.
No, thank you. That was just really exciting to hear about your journey. And the thing that I really appreciate is you selecting to be ambassador for hope. I think the commitment to cure research, I think, has really been your agenda. And it just sort of gets me thinking to the Berlin patient, who really was sort of our first delving into the space of cure. And his journey and his ability to come out from being the Berlin patient to being Timothy Brown. So I wanted to just build on this and ask your experience from being the London patient to you releasing your anonymity and what that journey was like, because I think that was must have been quite a difficult path.
Yeah, thank you for the question. That's really it's interesting question for me, because my journey started when I was given the opportunity to have a transplant, but at that moment, when the doctors told me I was going to the possibility to be cured of your cancer and HIV, I think from that moment, my responsibility to science started. I thought, this is bigger than me. I cannot live in anonymity. I cannot remain incognito. It would be so egoistic of me not to allow people to have hope and to understand it's a possibility. We have for 40 years started to try to find a cure. So when there are a chance and sleeping a hope to find a cure, I couldn't be just secretly and just live my life and just let the life work. I couldn't do that. So I think I decided from that moment, I want to do something. So with my doctors, Professor Gupta, Imam team, we decide together. So we always work in partnership. So either we patient and doctors together. So I'm very proactive with my doctors. So that's important to be that proactivity and to hands-on with my treatment. So proactive, why am I doing it? Why are we doing this? So when we go to transplant and say, Adam, the possibilities here, and we want to replicate Timothy Ray Brown, the late Timothy Ray Brown. And I say, yeah, let's go for it. Let's do it. When we go through the process, then thinking, wow, the responsibility I'm embarking on. So to go and say, and then we start learning about what name I'm going to be called. So the Britain patient, the English patient, and then I say, Yeah, the Brexit, no. The Brexit patient, no, yeah. No, it was before, yeah, it was on that time, but yeah. So, and then decide London, because London is when I was diagnosed, I was treated and I was cured. So that was one more tribute. And I'm a Londoner, so why not? That is the best. But I decided with my doctors together, and they were exciting, but we have that kind of, let's do it in stages. So let's start with the London patient first and see how the reaction we get can try to protect me against, which I didn't know, now I know, the backlash of the community. I didn't understand at that point what they were protecting me for, but now I know. And so, yeah, it was that passion that I could know that it could be privately. So many people, I hear so many stories, because before I became the London patient public in 2018, I learned for a year about, I really focused myself in the story of HIV, the tragic horrors on the 80s and the 90s, and the horrors, I say, the tragedies, the stories, are learning, because for me, as an HIV man, I was ignorant a lot of time, because you just, not self-pity, but you are worried about the stigma. You don't want to even look at any HIV product, because it's that image and the baggage you get from just to be HIV. So a lot of people not are that proactive as you think they will be. So it was a journey. I think my doctors and I, we went through the journey, and then we had that positive reaction at 2019 in Croy, when it was published. I say, yeah, that empowers me to go in the head. But it was a journey to get there. It's being a journey to go there. But just when it started, it was in the beginning. I say the responsibility of science is beyond me. So yeah, that's why.
Thank you so much for that. And I'll let you continue to moderate. Lots of questions.
Go ahead.
I'm really profoundly struck by the concept that you keep on bringing up about stigma, that like taking away that one pill seems easy enough to take one pill. It meant a huge amount because of this destigmatization of not having HIV,
Yeah.
which I think is tragic and terrible in 2022. But I guess my question was, did you have more dread of getting an HIV diagnosis, if you think back to that time, than you did of a cancer diagnosis?
It's two different ones. It's two different. I think the emotion between cancer and HIV is kind of different. When you have the cancer, it's kind of like, you got support, you got all the people around you. With HIV, you have nobody. So it's kind of like, to have all the support, you can talk about cancer with anybody in the street, with anybody. With HIV, you can't. But you can do that, but you can. Society don't allow you to do that. For me, it was difficult to stop the medication that was relieving me. I went back to 2003. When we stopped HIV medication in 2017, it took me around 6 months to get my head around to stop the HIV medication. I had to go through psychology. I had to have support, mentally supported, to able to go into that step to stop that pill. Because I was frightened to be again HIV positive. Because I didn't want to fail, because I know a lot of people failed, Monica, through the journey, but Timothy, to me, is a lot of people failed on the way. So I was frightened to fail to the doctors. They're working so hard. So it's kind of like that guilt. You feel guilty to fail other people around you. But at the same time, they didn't know how to work with me, because it's new. This is a new frontier. Cure is a new frontier. So they were like, Adam, what can we help you? So I need support. I need physical, I need psychology. I need mental support. Mental health services need to help me because I was frightened to stop that pill. And when that day happened, I promised to myself that if you're going to be HIV positive again, if you rebound and you failed, well, it's a failure and you need to live with that. But that took me 6 months to get there. That was not easy. And that's why anybody who go to trials, they need to have kind of that expectation. So going back to you what you were saying, asking me, when I stopped that pill, I promised myself, I'm going to do it in a symbolic day. I stop it on my date of birth, so on my birthday. So birthday to myself, it was stop that pill. So I stopped that pill. That's the last one. This is my birthday for myself. And the next day, we went to do, Professor Gupta, we went to do the HIV test. And I was frightened. I felt like I was 2003 all over again. That test for HIV, it was like, I was shaking. Physical check, the viral load to see I was negative. And when that result went negative, Professor and I, we were just jumping but for me to get there, it took a lot of support. And that's what I want people to understand. People go on trials, people go into there. We need to have hand-to-hand support by the doctors because the doctors need to understand the psychology of the patient, what they're going through. And the patient need to understand what is happening and get support by it. So it's a journey. I don't know if I answered your question. Right.
Well, I mean, just can I ask one more thing? Does every time, okay, I guess two questions. Every time you get an HIV viral load, do you feel nervous? Do you feel like it could? I felt in the beginning, I think because we did that quite regular in the beginning. So every time it was, I was kind of the fear to be back there. And I'm a human being, so we all want to be cured, no matter what. Some egoistic, but it's just human being, it's human nation. Every time viral load, I was always concerned. We were always in a state of worry because we didn't want to rebound. You get used to it. And you get used to it, but it took time. And that's something people need to learn because I knew a lot of people, they had that negative result in the beginning, but they rebounds later. So kind of having limiting expectation and have that expectation control. Don't allow the people go into this fantasy land. Yes, you're going to be cured and the yellow road is going to be, and the Wizard of Oz went for you at the end of the road. No, we have to be practical, we have to be pragmatic, and we have to be realistic. It's a possibility to rebound and you have to accept that. So, but nobody teach me any of this. I have to learn them by myself. Nobody to talk to because I couldn't talk to Timothy because they didn't want to make that connection yet, just in case I rebounds. And he didn't want to get his hopes shattered and my hope shattered. So it's a lot about psychology here. And we're talking about only the physical side, the research side, but the psychological impact on the patient, we don't talk about too much. And what I want to bring to the table is the patient perspective and perspective, which that is a learning curve. It's like a guidance for the doctors to how to talk to the patient, Evan, or whatever is, listen, this is what's going to happen. And people cannot get better at it. That's what I feel. That's the way I learned through my experience. And when I talked to Timothy, finally, he didn't have all of that. He didn't have any because he found to be cured later on. I was just different. So yeah.
Kim, do you want to?
I do, but Lish, do you have any?
Yeah, you have another question. No, you can. Yeah.
Okay. So impactful. But let me, I want to choose my question carefully. So you are an ambassador of hope. And I don't really think I know, I really don't know what that means. I hear you talking about one very important piece of work, which is how do we prepare future patients, and how do we prepare the healthcare system to support
Yeah, exactly.
the future lender patient? I'm just curious about, with your work as the ambassador of hope, who are you trying to reach? What is your message?
Yeah, so what I try to reach, what I call myself ambassador of hope, because I want to talk about cancer, I want to talk about HIV and mental health. I didn't want to be boxed in one because in my life, I struggle with the three of them. So I had to be ambassador for these three causes because that's who I am. And becoming an ambassador is because I want to support activists in their causes in HIV, cancer, and mental health, and advocates in all of that. And to be an ambassador is to be as a communicator, because some people see an activist as a fighter. Yeah. When you have an ambassador, you're going to have a conversation with them. So I want to reach to governments. I want to reach to communities. Because I want to reach communities. I want to reach government, society. That's what I want to, and that's what I use that terminology, because people, when they see you, okay, you want to be ambassador of hope. And I want to give hope in the face of HIV. I want to give hope in mental health, because we don't talk about mental health too much. We just, how many people with HIV die by mental health? A lot. How many suicides happen by mental health? And that part was what I want to talk about that. And what I want to talk about cancer, because in the HIV world, when you are diagnosed, you've been told you are 3 times more likely to develop cancer in your lifetime. And we don't talk about that. I had to learn it by my medical team at the time. Well, Evan, you're an HIV patient. That's what happened. People get cancer. Oh, I didn't know that. I had to learn that. So that's passionate for that. So, and I want to reach as many people I can reach, many organizations I can reach, governments, because we are in the developed world. I want to concentrate as well in the people who doesn't have a voice in the low and middle income countries. I'm working right now with a project in Uganda about not only about HIV, about sickle cells. I embarking in this journey, and the only way you can talk to governments is you become as an ambassador, because you better accept it than if you come in as an activist or an advocate. So that's the reason why I call myself Ambassador of Hope. And now I have to change it to Global Ambassador of Hope because I'm working around the world. So yeah.
I just love your approach to the ambassador of hope. I love the word hope for obvious reasons. But you've really articulated your experiences. I wanted to just take you back to, what do you miss about being HIV positive? I know it's a complicated question, but you're in a unique position to answer that.
What I miss, I think I miss to that camaraderie I felt when I was HIV. I was able to talk to people, that kind of connection I have with the HIV community and fellow HIV patients. Since I become the cure man, they put a barrier. Some of them have put, well, you're cured. You don't really want to talk to you anymore. It's an eye-opener for me to discover still a lot of jealousy, a lot of bitterness towards me, because some people are from the 80s and 90s. They lived that era. They have experienced that, and I didn't. So kind of it's different. I felt an eye-opener and I felt not welcome. That's why I never expected to feel that, to feel by my own community. And that was the biggest changes. And how people see me. When I was an HIV positive man, people see me in a certain way, and now I'm cured. People look at me a different way. But I say, I still Adam. What happened, the changes around me, the perception of people around me. That's what had changed. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that. And I think just building on that, we are also all very active in trying to get the next cure, as it's obviously a very big mission of many of us. What would you say to that next person who may be in that position, so that we can sort of prepare that sort of conversation?
Have faith. I have faith in the team that work with you. Have faith. They are working really hard to make sure you are cured. They're doing the best. I think hope. I want to give that hope to people, and I want to share with you guys. On the same note, I met the City of Hope. So I was in Palm Springs, and he came to see my talk, and we were introduced, and I met him, and he told me something really important. Adam, your study, it was replicated on me, and I'm here because of you. And that means, wow, you are here. I said, Adam, I want to say thank you because my doctor just copied your treatment and I'm here today. And I say, but I had to send Timothy. But, that's the involvement. So I think a change is that sense of community, which I felt before, and I don't feel it right now. And I'm working hard to kind of get back to it because people just push me away. So it was difficult. And I had to educate a lot of activists and advocates because they are too concentrating in treatment. And I wanted to learn about cure because what prevention is the better cure? Prevention is better cure, but let's have an option. So yeah, it was it's different for me, Lish. I just felt powerless, sad. I felt, it's a lot of emotions when that happens.
Thank you for that.
I'm going to jump in with a question because I think we're self-moderating over here. So I love the first moment that we met, you immediately started talking about how you wanted to partner more with trans communities and show up more for trans communities. And I'm just thinking about the ways in which our communities are impacted by stigma. And as you're talking about the stigma that you've experienced being, now being HIV negative, how can we prepare our communities? Because some of the stigma that we have won't be shaken off by HIV, by HIV cure.
And I talked to you earlier. So for me, trans rights are human rights, and that's my right too. So that's the beginning, I'll say to you, because I just imagine the stigma just to be HIV and the double whammy to be trans. That is, I speak to some guys that are in the community, and they tell me it's incredible. So what I want to do is educate. We need to rewrite the narrative of HIV, and that we have to work together, the community and the researcher. We have to combine together effort and to have kind of that unified message, simplify it, make it accessible. And for the trans community, it's even harder because just a stigma to be for the trans community, people are so transphobic. But we need to educate people. And then when you add the mix HIV, imagine the impact that person will have. So I want to work even harder for them because we are human beings. And feel free to feel who you are. That's the best thing you are. My gender, my pride. So that's what I always think. And it's a hard work, but it's about educating people and say to people, you're a human being. That's the basics. And we forget about the basics. We are human beings. But I want to support, but I want to learn from the trans community. Because for me, it's a journey of learning. Because for the HIV community, for the cancer research community, for the mental health community, support the mental health issues, and the trans community, for me, I'm very passionate as well, because I just imagine to put myself, all the struggle and stigma I had just to have HIV, and to have all the struggle to feel who I am to the world, it just breaks my heart to see how hard the guys have to work, girls, to feel who they are. And just to have HIV on top of that, that is just stigma over stigma. It's just kind of like a triple one. So I want to be part of the journey. I want to help the best way I can. So, but I need your support to teach me how to communicate to the right people, because it's about educating people.
Sure. I think maybe we have time for a few questions from the audience. So I'm going to give you notice. Y'all are on notice right now, and I'm not sure if anybody is monitoring the Zoom to see if there's any questions from the Zoom. Hello, Zoom audiences joining us at home. So please do prepare yourself if you have questions. We'll do one more question from our panel, and then we'll open it up to you all. So Monica.
Actually, I just want to say really admire you, because I think I was just thinking how lonely it would feel to like not then be totally accepted by the HIV community. So you lost a community, and then like it's like there's like one person in the world that you can talk to, and then he passed. And I mean, like that is like you're ambassador for hope, but you could have. It still feels like you're kind of alone on this precipice of hope. Like you are that person, and so I admire you that you would do this, that you would come out and talk to us and help us understand how important it is to cure, because it really, it isn't, as an HIV provider, it does feel sometimes like, oh, you're so lucky you can just take this one medication. It's not that bad. It's not that hard. And you told me this, you said I needed to be cured. I don't want to take an HIV medicine. It's different to be cured. And I can only have really understood that when you told me that.
Yeah.
And so I admire you for doing this, because you could just, run around and just have a lot of fun. And you're doing, because you have gone through hell and now you're cured of 2 medical conditions, but you are doing this for us. You're doing this for us as providers, as patients, and as to talk to the NIH so that they'll give more support for it, and researchers, and why we do everything that we do. So I just want to say, I admire you. It's really a privilege to be here with you.
And thank you, Monica. The first thing is Timothy, when we had the great pleasure to meet him virtually, we never met physically, sadly, but he taught me a lot. He told me his experience. I felt for the first time, he felt cannot relate to somebody. And he told me when he was diagnosed again with cancer, and he told me, Adam, now is your turn. I pass you the torch to continue the HIV cure legacy. And that was very emotional for me at that point. But I took it. When the doses of patient came, the first thing I said to him, welcome to the family, because Timothy did that to me. And I said to him, I'm so sorry, Timothy, you were so lonely for so long. Now you have me. Then when he left, I felt, wow, I'm alone in this journey. And then I felt, wow, I'm the second, but I become the first. I can the position move. And I felt lonely place. It's a very lonely place. And the dozens of patients came. The first thing I said early, welcome to the family, because Timothy did that to me. The moment I appear, the first thing that comes out of your mouth, welcome, brother, to the family. And that was, I cried when he said that for me. And then dozens of patients came. And the first thing I said to him when I met him in Holland, welcome, brother, to the family. We hug, and we've been brothers ever since. So our communication is great. Now the City of Hope came to me, and the first thing I said to him when he introduced is, welcome to the family, brother. So now we are that community, and I hope, fingers crossed, one day I will meet the New York patient and say, welcome, sister, to the family in person. But the first thing I said to CNN, I'll say, welcome, sister, to the family, because I want that closeness, you're welcomed, because behind the scenes, a lot of people don't want us because you're cured, and but to feel from me, to hear it from me, because she will see that, welcome to the family, and I feel part of it. And that's what I did that because I know how Timothy felt. Yeah, so yeah, I'm done that. So now City of Hope and we want to work together here, and we want to, those patients, the third person and the fifth person, want to help me in this journey because they feel empowered by me. They feel, Adam, we want to support you. We want to help you out. So yeah, and he bring the past. City of Hope, he lived the 80s pandemic. He goes through the 90s. Just to let you know that. So he told me the stories here in San Francisco. So I want to share that with you guys. He told me the horrors he experienced himself. And we were talking about it, and I said to him, you bring the past, I bring the future. Let's unite it. Let's talk about, you talk about 80s, 90s, I will talk about 2000 and 2010. You know, so we bring that energy together. That I want to share that with you guys. That's why we're embarking on that journey. So, and the brotherlyhood is that connection happened immediately. We just hug and we become brothers. Now we're brothers. So yeah, thank you guys to give me this opportunity to talk to you because I want to inspire researchers because you are the future of the HIV cure. You are the inspiration, and I want that you energy because what you do matters to me because I want your work being shared with people around the world. They see, because people around the world talk to me, ask me, Adam, what's happening? What they're doing? And I struggle because I have no knowledge, but I want you to tell me in a simple way how to tell them your work and feel connected because we have to have that control measure expectations. And I want you guys to tell me, Adam, we're doing this, but in a controlled manner, tell them, you know, the possibilities is there. We're working through failures because to fail, you continue as a learning, yeah? And I want you to help me in that. So that's what I come here to the Gladstone Institute and with you guys to kind of help me in this journey and to understand, like you said, Monica, and you told me earlier, is to get together, understanding each other, and it's learning. We're learning from here because I'm from the cure and beyond, and I want more people in my lifetime to be cured of HIV. When I was diagnosed, I never thought I was going to be cured of HIV because the impossible cure, but the impossible become possible. And the living proof. But I want my experience to be more feasible and accessible for the rest and for people living with HIV today. I want to be the voice of the people who die. I want to be the voice of people who don't talk about HIV, who live in day-to-day stigma today. We're living with HIV. So yeah, that's what and that's the reason why I call myself Ambassador of Hope. Give a hope to people.
Great, thank you. So for our audience, it looks like we have one question. You can, I'll repeat it into the mic if it's not working.
Hi, is it working? Yeah. Adam, it's amazing and you share the story with us. I think for the scientists to get to see the people who actually, you know, goes above the treatment and get a cure is just, is remarkable, I would say. But I've been wondering all the time that when you know that you can have a cure or it's feasible to have a cure, were you at any point afraid to be HIV negative, to actually not be, you know, AIDS patient? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was frightened. So that's what I went to. I had a lot of psychological support. So I had to go psychologists, psychiatrics, you know, social nurses, a lot of people around me have to help me. And they couldn't understand how to help me. We were in a hopeless situation. They didn't know what to do because nobody been cured of HIV. So I went to a lot of psychologists. We had to sit down and they had to understand what I was trying to say to them because they couldn't understand what I was going through. Because normally in psychology, you understand what people go through. But the only person I can contact or be connected. It was Timothy Rebran at the time. And I could not ask any question. So for me, the support I need, it was a lot. I need a lot of support. And I was frightened. I was so frightened not to get the HIV result negative. And I'm not supposed to feel that way, but that's human nature. Anybody have illness, you want to be cured no matter what. It's not being egoistic. It's just to be a human being. If you feel ill and you have an illness, you want to be cured. You want to feel well. But in the HIV world, because we are living with treatments, it was a point to feel egoistic not to have an HIV treatment anymore. So yeah, it was a challenging time and difficult to go navigate. I think my doctor and I had to navigate it. Now we're learning from that. So yeah, but it was a learning.
Thank you.
Great. So we're passing the mic, and then is anybody monitoring the chat from?
Yeah.
Great. Linda, if you can unmute,
There you go.
if you are able to do so.
Okay, great. Hi, everybody. What a wonderful panel. Fabulous, Adam. I've really
Linda.
enjoyed hearing your talk. You know, and we've been trying to raise the alarm to cure researchers in the United States, not only about what Adam says, because we've had a number of cure forums in conjunction with our community partner, the San Francisco AIDS Foundation. And, you know, when you talk to people about when it dawns on them, oh my God, I might be able to be cured at some point, somewhere down the line. Not only do their support services go and their support groups, where they live, all of their medical services. So, you know, I mean, Adam is from the United Kingdom, where they have the National Health Service. If you don't have HIV in the United States, your meds, your medical care, you know, again, where you live, your support groups, out the window. So people have been extremely frightened, not only to lose camaraderie, but to lose the very things that are keeping them alive. So we need to keep that all in mind when, you know, in other words, if we're lucky enough to do this, we're going to have to consider what the people that we are curing are going to have to go through afterwards. I know Timothy actually went through this in the United States. So thank you.
Yeah, same question. So for me, I come from United Kingdom. We have the National Service, the NHS. So in the UK, if you have HIV or you are ill for any illness, it's your right to be treated. It's not a privilege. You know, you can treat it. You go into a doctor, you go into the hospital, and you be treated, and you get the treatments is required. So I come from a different place, and I always had to make that distinction. Thank you, Linda, for telling me that, to remind me that the difference between the US, the UK, and Europe is almost kind of unified, the healthcare systems for the citizens of each country. But then we talk about lower income countries, and it's different. And here in the United States, I don't know much about the healthcare system, but I understand the difficulty people with HIV facing and with HIV. So I need to understand more how when you become HIV here in this country and how you've been treated, how the treatments go, how do social network change? Because I think everything changed when you become HIV positive in this country. It happened in other countries as well, but I come from the UK, United Kingdom, it's different. You know, we're talking about if you go HIV, you're going to get treatments, and that's it. Continue your life. We hope you get, you know, that's it. But the stigma is there. But here, I need to understand it more. I need to understand the schematics here and how the things work here. Yeah.
Not well is how it works here. So,
Universal healthcare. I mean,
Yeah.
if COVID didn't show that, yeah.
mhm. So we'll do the audience, then we'll pop back over to our panel, and then pop back over to our virtual and live audience.
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you so much for coming here, and also for, you know, making the decision to carry this torch of hope. You know, that was not, you know, like everyone said, an easy path to take. I think it was probably the hardest path for you to take. And so my question for you is, what role do you think scientists can take in sharing that torch of hope and being and reaching out to communities more? Like, how do you think, you talked a lot about this intersection between researchers and patients, but how do you think, you're taking that responsibility as a patient? How can scientists take more of that responsibility? What do you think we can do to, carry that torch with you?
Be more proactive to the community with the activists and advocates. That communications we need to simplify. It's about how my work can translate simple to people, and you guys can take as well the attitude, because social media, now we live in a social media world with, sadly, if a cat just jumping, you get 100 million views, but we talk about HIV, you get 1 view. So we need to make it fresh. We need to, that type of, it's sad to say this, but we have to kind of clean the HIV look to be more approachable. So I okay, let's take that approach then. Let me be fresh. Let me be modern. So let's show the face of HIV. But I want the researchers taking that journey too, to be more proactive in social media, because I just asked one of your researchers early on, and you are in social media, and they say, no, I am not. And that it was, for me, like, okay, so I need to start, you need to get social media, you need to be kind of out there, because your work means a lot to a lot of people. If you decide not to say anything, nobody knows. So it's about, you come to me, follow me in social media, let's communicate it, and let's get a community of researchers. That young, fresh generation, we can TikTok, we can do Instagram, Reels, all of that, because that's the future. But we need to change, and I want you to help me with that. But it's together, productivity.
Thank you.
Without devalue your work. That's important.
We're about the same age, and I'm not on TikTok, and I'm feeling like I gotta get with it, y'all. All right, for my panelists, who would like to ask the next question in the panel? Okay, one more second.
Yeah, I have one more question. Again, I wanted to ask the same question that Juliana asked. And thank you so much for sharing how your whole journey. It's very inspiring for all the scientists, and especially the people who are trying to work on the therapeutics for viruses. It's very inspiring. To add on to what Juliana just asked, how can we empathize better with you? Like, what would you expect from scientists to be able to connect with the patients who are going through this journey better?
I think it's about you to see face-to-face the community issues, and seeing from the community to see what you do. So, for example, somebody from the community, somebody from the HIV community who is living with HIV, invited to the lab to see your work, to see the inspiration. So, because if you talk, it multiplies. So that kind of connection, that's what I said to her, the proactivity. We need to be proactive and ask questions, because it's about engagement. It's community engagement with the research community. And that need to be alliance. And that's what we need. But that is kind of like, are you following me on social media? You go social media?
I am, and I'll
you
start
follow me
following
on
you
social
today.
media?
I'll start following you.
Yeah, okay. Because I learned that I need to have more followers to able to my message to go higher. So I need to create that audience behind. So, and that's the reason why I say to her that proactivity, and ask questions to the community. How can I help you? How can my work mean to people? Because people have the expectation is, I want the cure. They don't see all the process they have. And I was talking to researchers now in the conference I was in Cure Research in Palm Springs. I seen Fatima in the audience, I was in the table, and I say, don't be afraid of the failures to show the failure, because that means you try harder, but it didn't work. So don't be afraid to show the failures, because that tells people, oh, she tried and she continued. That made you resilience and you perseverance on that. But it's about communicating better. And I think the community researchers and the activists, sometimes they just go into the social demographic and perspective of that, and we talk about it scientifically. And it needs to be combined. But it's a learning. Again, it's a journey, and I'm putting myself out there, and to bring it to the table because nobody else will talk about it. And sometimes it's important to talk about the raw things in HIV. But that interaction is a two-way system. The community had to be engaged as well. They had to be willing to talk to you, and you need to be willing to talk to them. So it's two for tango, as I would say. Yeah.
All right. Time for two more?
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
2 minutes, okay.
I
Okay, fine.
Oh, goodness.
Okay, quickly, let me get this question out, and it follows on to the discussion that we're having. I take very seriously the power that you have to help inform audiences about where we are with the cure. I'm an HIV researcher. I couldn't tell you, but my house is really prevention. So anyway, there's so much information about the cure that is certainly not out in audiences specifically around people living with HIV. That's the community I'm hoping you're, of course, going to be reaching. So just like we need two to tango, have researchers and community follow one another on social media, you also need, I feel like, a very specific channel for information. So from researchers so that they can keep you apprised of what is happening.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to how can we operationalize that communication channel and keep it open to help you to do your work?
Yeah, so I'm hoping to build the London Patient Foundation. No, I'm going to. I hope to open the London Patient Foundation for that reason. Is the platform. So I want to be open to any research around the world. Yeah, because I don't want to limit it myself. I want to hear people from India, people from Africa, people from Europe, people from here from the United States, to tell me and keep me informed. But at the same time, make it shorted, make it simple, make videos, make interactive, make it really fun. Oh, and people, as you know, we have in 1 minute spans. If you tell me after 1 minute, it passes. So you make it easy. So that's what I try to build in my London Patient Foundation, which is try to build that energy from the researchers, the community as well. So kind of bring that, because people contacted me and asked me, what are the results? What's happening? And during this journey so far, when I find out, I want to have a tour of labs, across the United States. So from east to west, or from west to east, to teach people what each one lab are doing it. Simplify it. And people say, oh, that's what I'm doing here. That's for your lab. Never make yourself smaller. You're working well. No, make I'm a small. No, never do that. Never do go down. Always up. Always look up. Never do go down. So I want to see your lab. I want to see what you do. I want to see what all the guys here now in Gladstone. I want to see people in Atlanta do. I want to see people doing in Uganda. I want to do in South Africa, in India, in Mumbai. So I want to know what people do. And for me to know, and for the rest of the world to know, because we still 40 million people living with HIV today. Last year, hundreds of thousands of people died with AIDS-related illnesses, and we don't talk about that. So that's what my London Patient Foundation is, and I want you to come in that journey with me, to come to your lab, to visit your lab, make a video about it, TikTok, make it interactive. People can, oh wow, that's what they're doing here. Oh, it's progress, because that expectation, because now we have the expectation, cure, because we are so fixated into the cure, and we're losing the journey to get there. And I want that kind of link missing to be filled.
Well, thank you so much. And since I got the mic, I'll close this out. I really want to thank you. It's, I think probably a lot of us here feel very emotional, and I deeply thank you. And this is the first time that I personally have ever actually had hope. And just thinking about all my friends, thank you.
And were you here? But thank you for having me, guys. So you follow me all in Instagram. I'm going to find out your faces.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you.